I know by the title you are like, oh, what's she finna talk about? What is she fitting to say? I have already stated previously that I have opted to not talk about trans topics on my channel, and I'm very clear and to the point and matter of fact when I talk on my channel. So you don't have to read between the lines, you do not have to paraphrase, nor does anyone have to misquote me to get the point of what I said. You can just say what I actually said. Now, what has been happening is I have an Ask FM page where you can anonymously ask me questions. Somebody, and I honestly think it's the same person, has continuously been asking me about trans topics. I do think that I wanted to address this in a video because it goes beyond the issue of trans topics. There are topics that I choose not to address, whether it's topics of transgender, religion, just some certain personal matters that I just opt not to talk about. And I want people to understand what it is to be a personal brand who publicly puts yourself out there versus maybe like larger publications and websites. So that expectations aren't set on me that are just unrealistic for me to fulfill. And also that we understand how to have a disagreement with somebody, because I feel like it's just time again to remind my audience that you are more than welcome to disagree with me. I actually like when people don't agree with me, and I enjoy having that discussion. What I do want to cultivate is an audience of critical thinkers who can clearly express their opinions without demeaning or demoralizing somebody else. I tweeted previously that I find Amaya Scott, who's a very popular transgender woman on Instagram, to be problematic. Somebody asked me, why do you find Amaya Scott to be problematic? So I responded, I don't take issue with Amaya Scott. I don't dislike her, but I just think that the quickness of people to say that because they accept her makes them accepting of trans people to be slightly problematic, because it's not really addressing the topic of transgender. It's not really educating cisgendered or people just on the other side about what transgender means. I just think it's people accepting somebody who is very attractive, has nice lady bumps, and a gorgeous weave. I also don't necessarily rock with the whole, she just posts the picture of her as a young boy and then now her as a woman, and it kind of is just like a, ooh, look at how good she looks now thing versus really, I don't know, I'm not transgender. So again, this is why I haven't talked about it on my YouTube channel, because I don't know if I'm I don't think I'm wrong, but I don't know how other transgender people feel about it. I won't find any pictures of Laverne Cox pre-transition. Like, that's there's one picture of her, but Laverne isn't out here posting pictures of herself as a child or pre-transition trying to show you how much of a woman she looks like now, how she can bag your man, and how she cuter than your best friend, or she cuter than all these other hater ass bitches and all that other stuff. I just don't know. I don't know how productive that narrative is. I tend to be better at writing certain things down versus verbalizing them, and so I feel like I'm very proud of my response and I stand by it 120%. And then the person proceeded to respond and misquote me, is like, why does Amaya have to represent all black women? And I'm like, that's not what I said though. If that's where your comprehension skills set you at, and that out of the 2 paragraphs that I wrote you gonna read into one singular line and take everything else out of context, then hey, be blessed elsewhere, because I don't have time for this anonymous argument with you. I'm a personal brand. Like, I do this by myself, so I have limited resources, limited access to get things done. I don't have a research team. I can't go and hire a writer who exists in that space as they are trans or an advocate for trans topics to come on and carry on a productive conversation and then moderate the conversation that happens after that. I do this shit all by myself. Interesting enough, I did meet Laverne Cox last year at BeautyCon. I did approach her about getting her publicist contact to talk to her on this channel, because I think trans topics are worth being discussed, but I feel like they should be discussed by people who are in the community. On a plethora of topics, I've reached out to people about trying to interview them, about trying to have them come on here with me and talk about certain things, and it's just black people don't get the YouTube platform. I'm not large enough. It is what it is. I don't really feel like I need to give excuses. I do what I can do on my end, and I just want my audience to understand that every conversation that I do bring up here is a conversation that I've thought about, that I know that I can host a productive discussion around this topic, and no matter what gets thrown at me, that I can kind of mitigate this space. You know, I did the video Africans versus African Americans a year ago with Evelyn from the internet, and it's at like 2,500 comments, and I get all those notifications. Now, I don't get email notifications, but when I log onto YouTube and I click to check the comments on my most recent video, that video, African versus African American video, like, it's just, I'm like so over it. Like, I low-key want to turn the comments off, but if you turn the comments off, then all the comments get removed off of the video. And so it's just like, ugh, much work for me to host a conversation about something that I directly am impacted. You know, just it goes so far left that I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do as an outsider who's still learning themselves about trans topics? I feel like from where I sit, that my best thing to do is to sit back and read and allow that community to decide how they want to be discussed, for them to be advocates, and then from there, I will see where I can fit and how I can help that community. But I'm not going to do something that I feel is like only going to deter the conversation further. I just don't feel like I have the gravitas to talk about trans topics. Just like I don't feel like I have the gravitas to talk about religion. You feel that strongly about a topic being discussed in the community, and you feel like there needs to be awareness about it. I don't think that anonymously asking me a question on, or anyone a question on Ask FM, is the appropriate way to get that topic heard or brought to awareness. Strongly about it, why don't you build the platform for it? Why don't you curate this conversation and advocate for the awareness brought out and show your face? This is why so many people choose not to insert themselves in the conversation. People don't want to become a public persona that's known to everyone, because people are so quick to expect you to say what they want to hear. And I just want people to understand that it's the same thing that goes with religion. You know, I don't particularly care for the idea that my audience assumes that every black woman is Christian, but I also don't know that since I am a Christian and I don't necessarily walk the shoes of a Muslim or an atheist or even someone who's agnostic, that I'm going to know how to speak for them. I'm running into this issue specifically on the Ask FM is because it feeds out to my Twitter. Take the Twitter and take the 140 characters, which largely is devoid of tone. It's devoid of all the kind of things that we insert into conversation to, you know, charm and smooth things over. Not the fillers that we usually use in talking in person have to be removed in order to package something and really pack a punch into a tweet. Taking that Twitter conversation and trying to translate that into how they talk everywhere else. Just understand the power of your words and the power of conversation. You know, it's like, I also don't talk about, I haven't done a video, even though I keep getting requests, about my experience with Nigerians in Houston. I mean, when I moved here, I got in the most Nigerian of Nigerian ways with talking to a dude who had a girlfriend back in Lagos, and the people that set us up knew, and he was told that I knew he had a girlfriend, girl. It was just some other shit, and I was really in my feelings about it. And I mentioned it in a pop star video, and people asked me to do a video on it, but it's like I haven't found a way where I really felt like that would be a productive conversation. I feel like it was such a stereotypical thing to do that would only reinforce a negative stereotype against a large ethnic group of people. And it's like, I'm at a point living in Houston where I'm trying to combat feeding into stereotypes, and it's not easy, but I'm aware of the cycle of the interactions of the African diaspora, and I'm not going to perpetuate further negative stereotypes by having this one-sided discussion without really taking down the more critical aspects of it that can lead to some sort of open-mindedness. But people just have to remember, I am Jouelzy. This is me. I'm an artist, and I'm sensitive about my shit. This is my personal space. You know, in the comments down below, have you ever been in a place in life where you realize that there are certain things that you are not capable of talking about, that you don't have the gravitas to speak on, and how do you kind of navigate that space? You know, I think it's just as like if you're at work and there's something that comes up, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, I don't have the means to properly communicate this. In the comments down below, keep it cute, keep it respectful, and as always, shop smartbrowngirl.com. Deuces!